Well, protests appear to have died down in Venezuela. Opposition leader Juan Guaido is still fighting for control of the country. Now, he announced that he has instructed Carlos Vecchio, his representative to the U.S., to meet with Pentagon officials to begin direct communications toward possible coordination. RT's Rachel Blevins joins me now to discuss the details. Okay, Rachel, what can you tell me about Guaido's announcement, and how has the U.S. responded after this weekend's meetings?
Right, so we saw opposition leader Juan Guaido announce this weekend that he had officially directed his representative in Washington, D.C. to meet with the United States Southern Command, and he said that they needed to talk about possibly working together and the future of Venezuela. Now, Carlos Vecchio took to Twitter and he said that he had specifically requested that meeting with those Pentagon officials and that he wanted to talk about strategic and operational procedures moving forward, and he wanted to push for what he called restoring democracy in Venezuela. Now, the timing of this is really notable because it comes just days after the head of the Southern Command, U.S. Navy Admiral Craig Fowler, actually came out and said that he stands ready to assist Guaido and that he plans to work with Guaido and his allies in Venezuela. Now, it's not clear exactly what that assistance will look like.
Well, it's real interesting to me because from what we've seen ever since Guaido declared himself president back in January, he and the U.S. have been kind of on the same page. But the question is, the indication, who's actually calling the shots in this? Or does it look like he's the one telling U.S. officials, this is what I need you to do? Or more importantly, is it the U.S. saying we need to overthrow Maduro? Do we know who's actually in power in this conversation?
Right. Well, the timing of everything is really notable here because, as we've seen, U.S. officials have repeatedly said the phrase, all options are on the table regarding Venezuela. And Guaido actually came out this weekend and he gave a speech before supporters, and he used that same phrase, all options are on the table, when he talked about the fight to overthrow President Nicolas Maduro. And then we've also seen National Security Advisor John Bolton and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that the only reason that Maduro is still in power is because he is receiving support from Cuba, from Cuba's government and from their military. And then Guaido used that same phrase this weekend. He said that he actually has the support of 80% of Venezuela's military, but he claimed that the only reason that that support hasn't materialized and that we haven't seen more members of the military going to his side is because they're being intimidated by Maduro and by Cuba's government. And we also saw another Venezuelan general then make that same claim, and he was one of the few that broke ranks with Maduro. He posted a video on YouTube, and he said that it's all because of Cuba. Now, as we've seen, Maduro and Cuba's government have denied those claims, but at the same time, it is interesting to see the timing of it all, and it seems like what U.S. officials say, it's then repeated by Guaido and his allies.
Well, I'm also scratching my head going, how powerful really is Cuba? I thought Cuba was not very powerful. They actually needed aid. So if they're actually keeping another government in power, then maybe they don't need, any help from any other foreign bodies like Russia or the U.S. I want to look at the idea that U.S. officials have threatened the military action as an option, even though the majority of Venezuela's military is looking like it's still standing by Maduro outside of those 80% claims. Are there any signs that the U.S. is actually going to go through with these threats despite a lack of support for the opposition?
Yeah, no, it is notable looking at this, but I think even though we're seeing meetings between Southern Command and between Guaido's allies, I think we really need to remember that in order for the U.S. to actually move forward with military action, they need to have approval from Congress. So the biggest thing so far is that we have yet to see a declaration passed by Congress that declares war on Maduro's government.
There's a reason why checks and balances and our founding fathers set things up like they did. Thank you so much for joining us, Rachel.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.